soldiers. In 1914 they marched out, and 4 years later they bequeathed desolation. A country drained of life, stupid defeat, without energy, without hope. I'll take any job, but there are no jobs. cause unrest. We shall see to it that disorder arises, that there is no quiet in the world. Intoxicated by public acclaim, overestimating his political strength, Adolf Hitler, in November of 1923, stages his first revolution, an armed march through the streets of Munich to overthrow the government of the state of Bavaria and seize power. But the state is still stronger than the Nazi Party. Stormtroopers lie dead or dying in the street. But he fails to escape and is sentenced to prison for treason. At the age of 35, his career seems over before it fully started. So it seems in 1923. But Adolf Hitler never dies, never, is destined. In prison, he writes a book, Mein Kampf, My Struggle, in which he boldly decrees his program for conquest and oppression. The world ignores it, but the seeds have been scattered, and they find their soil. Out of the mob, new Nazi personalities emerge. Joseph Goebbels, a rejected writer. Göring, a jobless Air Force officer. But the unquestioned leader remains Adolf Hitler. Released from jail through political influence, he is back at the head of his private army, whose creed is, Europe and the rest of the world can perish in flames. What is that to us? Germany must live and be free. And to the German youth, Hitler says, you are today the defense of a movement which is called to revolutionize Germany someday from the bottom up. This man becomes the mythical symbol of hope for myopic thousands of all ages, all classes. But Adolf Hitler means to be more than a mere symbol for thousands. He means to be absolute master of Germany's 62 millions. And on Germany's millions he turns the power of his dark, demonic personality, the flood of his impassioned oratory. His method is a thousand-fold repetition of a few simple points, a few shabby ideas. Germany, he says, was never defeated. She was stabbed in the back by Jews and traitors at home. The pure Aryan Germanic race is destined to rule the world. Only a strong man, a dictator, can save Germany from red revolution and democratic weakness. He appeals to patriotism and to national pride, to hatred and to resentment. Always and everywhere, the appeal of this master of opportunism is emotional, irrational. He says, reason can treacherously deceive a man, but emotion is sure and never leaves him. And, he says, I fanaticize the masses in order to make them a tool of my policy. His only real policy, his only real program, power without limit. We are a people which from its infancy learns to be disciplined, says Adolf Hitler. He mocks those who speak of the love of peace and admits the Germans may listen for a time, until, says the Führer, an ordinary military band comes by. Then a man awakens from his dream state. Suddenly he begins to feel like a member of the nation that is marching, and he joins in. All our people need is this one example. 1, 2, 3, we are on the march. Now the rejected writer Joseph Goebbels has an outlet for his words, written and spoken. As chief Nazi propagandist, he proselytizes according to the formula of his Führer. The people, in their primitive simplicity, are more easily taken in by a big lie than a small one. Joseph Goebbels drenches Germany in a torrent of big lies, and the day is coming when he will say, in truth, propaganda made the Third